Have you ever found yourself waking up at exactly 3 o'clock a.m. night after night without any clear reason? You lie there in the silence, staring at the ceiling, wondering, what's wrong with me? Is my body failing? Is this just part of getting old? If this sounds familiar, you're not alone, and it's not just in your head. Waking up in the middle of the night, especially around 3 a.m., is one of the most common sleep patterns among older adults. But few people truly understand why it happens. In this guide, we'll explore 5 deeply rooted reasons why your body might be waking you up at this early hour, and more importantly, what you can do about it. Each reason reflects not only a biological shift, but also a deeper message from your body or mind, and by the end, you may come to see these wake-ups in a whole new light. Let's dive in with understanding, respect, and curiosity for this unique stage of life. 1. Decreased melatonin production with age. One of the most common reasons older adults find themselves waking up at 3 o'clock a.m. is the natural decline in melatonin production that comes with age. Melatonin, often referred to as the sleep hormone, plays a critical role in regulating the body's internal clock. It helps signal when it's time to sleep and stay asleep. When you were younger, your body likely produced a strong, steady flow of melatonin during the night, allowing you to enjoy deep, uninterrupted rest. However, as you grow older, your body produces significantly less of it, and that decrease often becomes noticeable in the early morning hours. Around 2 or 3 a.m., your melatonin levels may dip too low to keep you in a restful state, causing your brain to drift toward wakefulness, even without any external disturbance. This was exactly what happened to Martin, a 72-year-old retired architect who had always been a solid sleeper. Over the past year, he began waking up regularly around 3:15 a.m., not because of a nightmare or noise, but simply because he was suddenly wide awake. At first, he thought something was wrong, perhaps stress or even early signs of insomnia. But after learning about how melatonin naturally declines with age, he realized his experience was actually quite common. This new understanding allowed him to stop blaming himself and focus instead on supporting his sleep cycle. To help his body maintain a healthy rhythm, Martin made several small adjustments. He kept his bedroom as dark as possible by using blackout curtains and covering all small sources of light like his digital clock. He stopped using electronic screens 1 hour before bed and instead took a calm 15-minute walk in the evening to help reinforce his body's natural sleep signals. These changes didn't stop the early wake-ups entirely, but they made it easier for him to fall back asleep and gave him a sense of control and peace. Waking up at 3 o'clock a.m. isn't necessarily a sign of illness or failure. It's often just a reflection of your body's shifting chemistry. By understanding what's happening and responding with simple, thoughtful changes, you can improve your sleep and develop a gentler, more compassionate relationship with your aging body. 2. Advanced sleep phase. Your internal clock shifts earlier. Another significant reason many older adults find themselves waking up around 3 o'clock a.m. is a natural shift in the body's internal clock known as advanced sleep phase. As we age, our circadian rhythm, the biological process that regulates our sleep-wake cycle, gradually shifts earlier. This means that you may begin to feel sleepy earlier in the evening, often around 8:30 or 9 o'clock p.m., and wake up earlier in the morning, sometimes even before dawn. While it might feel like insomnia, this isn't necessarily a problem with falling or staying asleep. Rather, it's a sign that your sleep cycle has simply moved forward. Your body believes it has completed a full night's rest, even though it may still be the middle of the night. This shift in sleep rhythm was something Barbara, a 68-year-old retired school teacher, struggled to understand. After retiring, she began eating dinner around 5:30 p.m. and winding down soon after. Without realizing it, she would often fall asleep by 9 o'clock p.m. and then wake up fully alert at 3 o'clock a.m. At first, she felt frustrated, thinking something was wrong with her sleep. But after learning about the concept of advanced sleep phase, she realized her sleep wasn't broken, it was simply rescheduled. Her body was following a different rhythm, one that made perfect sense given her age and daily routine. To help herself adjust, Barbara introduced small but intentional changes to her evenings. She began reading under warm lighting to gently delay sleepiness and made time for a brief phone call with her sister after dinner. On some nights, she took a short walk or listened to calming music to help stretch her bedtime just a bit later. These subtle shifts helped realign her sleep cycle so she could wake closer to sunrise rather than in the dark of night. Understanding that your internal clock may be changing allows you to adapt with kindness instead of resistance. Waking up at 3 o'clock a.m. isn't a failure. It's often a sign that your body is simply following a new rhythm. With a few small adjustments, you can bring your sleep schedule into better harmony with the life you want to lead. 3. Physical discomfort or health-related interruptions. Waking up around 3 o'clock a.m. can also be the result of physical discomfort or subtle health issues that quietly interfere with your rest. As we grow older, the body becomes more sensitive to sensations that might have gone unnoticed in younger years. Conditions like arthritis can make staying in one position for too long uncomfortable, while issues such as acid reflux, dry mouth, or even minor muscle cramps can trigger light awakenings. The need to urinate more frequently is also a major factor for many older adults, as the bladder tends to become less elastic with age, creating a stronger urge during the night. Add to this the effects of certain medications, many of which are prescribed for common age-related conditions, and it becomes clear that the body is responding to a complex mix of signals, many of which peak in the quiet hours of early morning. This was exactly the case for Susan, a 76-year-old woman who had always been a light sleeper but noticed that she was waking consistently around 3:30 a.m. After months of trying different remedies on her own, she finally brought the issue to her doctor, who helped her identify that one of her heart medications was increasing nighttime urination and affecting her hydration levels. With a simple adjustment in the timing of her medication and a few changes in her evening routine, like limiting liquids after 7 o'clock p.m. and elevating her pillow to ease reflux, Susan began to experience fewer interruptions. On the night she did wake up, she found it easier to fall back asleep. It's important to remember that these wake-ups are not signs of weakness or failure. In fact, they are proof that your body is still working, alert, responsive, and trying to keep you balanced. Instead of viewing these disruptions as a nuisance, they can be seen as helpful messages, guiding you toward better self-care. A gentle evaluation of your medications, evening habits, and physical comfort can go a long way toward improving your sleep quality. With the right adjustments, it's entirely possible to sleep more peacefully and wake up feeling more refreshed and in tune with your body's needs. 4. Lifestyle habits that shift your sleep window. Sometimes the reason for waking up at 3 a.m. isn't rooted in biology or medical conditions, but in the quiet reshaping of your daily routines. As people grow older, lifestyle changes, especially after retirement, can gradually shift the body's internal rhythm without us even realizing it. When meals are eaten earlier, physical activity decreases, and evenings become more relaxed and less stimulating, the body begins to interpret these cues as signals to wind down sooner. Without the structure of a work schedule, daily appointments, or social obligations, the external time markers that once kept our sleep-wake cycle aligned begin to fade. As a result, we may start falling asleep earlier in the evening, even before 9 o'clock p.m., which naturally leads to waking up several hours before sunrise, often around 3 o'clock a.m. This was exactly what happened to Thomas, a 74-year-old recently retired accountant. With fewer responsibilities during the day, he started having dinner at 5 o'clock p.m., watching television for a short while, and unintentionally dozing off in his chair before heading to bed early. At first, he found the early mornings peaceful, but over time, he became frustrated at waking in the middle of the night and being unable to return to sleep. It wasn't until he reflected on how much his routine had shifted that he realized his habits were quietly training his body to sleep earlier and wake earlier. To address this, Thomas began introducing small but effective changes. He added a short walk after dinner to boost light physical activity in the evening. Instead of falling asleep during the news, he switched to reading under a brighter lamp to keep his mind engaged. He also avoided napping after dinner and added a light, healthy snack before bed to prevent early morning dips in blood sugar. These small adjustments helped shift his bedtime later and brought his wake-up time closer to morning. The good news is that our bodies are highly responsive to rhythm and routine. With gentle and intentional changes, you can retrain your internal clock to better match your ideal sleep schedule. Waking up at 3 o'clock a.m. isn't a sign that your body is broken. It may just be responding to the cues you've unknowingly given it. 5. Emotional or psychological restlessness. For many older adults, waking up at 3 o'clock a.m. isn't always caused by physical discomfort or sleep cycle changes. It's often tied to something much quieter and more internal: emotional or psychological restlessness. As life slows down and daily responsibilities lessen, the mind often finds itself with more space to reflect. The early morning hours, when the world is silent and distractions are minimal, can bring to the surface long-held memories, unresolved thoughts, or quiet worries that we may not consciously notice during the day. Unlike the loud, anxious thoughts that might plague younger people, this kind of restlessness is softer, more reflective than reactive. It may not come with panic or fear, but rather with a deep, lingering sense of incompletion or longing, often rooted in past experiences, relationships, or personal loss. Margaret, an 80-year-old widow, experienced this kind of emotional wakefulness after the passing of her husband. During the day, she stayed busy with gardening, light chores, and occasional calls from her children. But around 3 o'clock a.m., she often found herself awake, her mind quietly replaying old conversations or reflecting on decisions she made decades ago. At first, she worried that something was wrong with her sleep, but over time she came to understand that these moments weren't signs of a problem. They were opportunities for her heart and mind to be heard. To support herself during these wakeful hours, Margaret started keeping a journal by her bedside. When she woke up, she would write a few gentle thoughts, nothing structured, just whatever was on her mind. She also began listening to calming music before bed and introduced an evening ritual of writing a short letter to a friend or loved one, even if she didn't plan to send it. These small acts gave her thoughts a place to go and helped her feel more settled, allowing her to return to sleep with more ease. Emotional restlessness at night is not a flaw. It's often a sign that your inner life is still rich, alive, and asking for attention. By honoring these quiet moments with compassion and curiosity, you can turn them into meaningful experiences that deepen your self-understanding and bring greater peace, even in the middle of the night. Conclusion: turning 3 a.m. wake-ups into gentle wisdom. As we come to the end of this reflection on why so many older adults wake up around 3 o'clock a.m., it's important to recognize one core truth. Waking during the night is not a failure of your body or mind. Rather, it is often a natural result of the profound changes that come with aging, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. The 5 reasons we've explored: declining melatonin, a shifted internal clock, physical discomfort, lifestyle patterns, and emotional restlessness are not signs that something is wrong. Instead, they are reminders that your body is still responding, still adapting, and still very much alive. Each early morning awakening carries with it a quiet message. Perhaps your body is signaling a need for better nighttime habits. Maybe your internal rhythm is simply running on a slightly different schedule now. Or perhaps your mind is offering you space to process, to remember, and to reflect. Whatever the reason, these wake-ups do not need to be met with frustration or fear. They can be met instead with kindness, curiosity, and care. Understanding the deeper causes behind these 3 o'clock a.m. awakenings allows you to make small, thoughtful changes that support better rest. Whether it's adjusting your bedtime routine, creating a more sleep-friendly environment, managing your health conditions with greater awareness, or making space for emotional expression, there are always gentle, practical steps you can take to improve your sleep and overall well-being. But even more importantly, recognizing these patterns helps you develop a more compassionate relationship with your aging self. Too often, we associate sleep problems with dysfunction, forgetting that the aging process brings with it a new rhythm, a new tempo. Instead of resisting these changes, we can learn to flow with them, honoring our body's natural signals and embracing the wisdom they offer. There is something deeply human about waking in the middle of the night when everything is quiet and still. In that silence, your body speaks in subtle ways. Your mind recalls what matters. Your heart sometimes simply wants to be heard. So if you find yourself awake at 3 o'clock a.m., take a deep breath. You are not alone. You are not broken. You are in a stage of life where listening to your body, your memories, your needs is one of the most powerful things you can do. Rest in this season of life is not only about sleep, it's about peace, it's about presence, and it's about giving yourself the grace to meet each moment, awake or asleep, with understanding and love. May your nights be restful, your mornings gentle, and your journey forward filled with awareness, balance, and care. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.